Welcome to the Untrapped Podcast, where we're motivated and inspired about success, small business, and personal development. And now, Keith Kalfas.
Guys, if you need help being more organized and being perceived as a professional to your clients and prospective customers, then you got to check out Jobber. Jobber is an awesome software that you can run your entire service business on. You can create invoices, quotes, estimates, work orders. It integrates with your calendar. You can collect money. You can run your whole business on Jobber and grow with it as well. Get your 14-day free trial of Jobber at keithkalfas.com/Jobber. I use Jobber in my business and it's awesome.
The interview portion of today's program is coming up next, here on the Untrapped Podcast.
What's up, guys? This is Keith Kalfas with the Untrapped Podcast. And, dude, we've got an awesome show for you right now. We're in downtown Nashville, Tennessee, right now at the Business, Bourbon, and Bullshit, the BBB Private Mastermind Group with Bobby Walker from Journey of a New Entrepreneur, Michael Dahlke, which is the financial mastermind, multiple business serial entrepreneur. And this is going to be a great show. If you're looking for some transformational, transcendent breakthroughs in your life and your business, and just to be led down a path that could open up a whole bunch of new opportunities, this is the show you want to tune out of any other distractions that are going on and tune in to this. Even if you can't listen to the whole thing right now, come back and listen to this later, because I'm in a room right now. This dope, sweet room. Dude, there's a lion's head in front of me and an invisible bookshelf that you could press and go to a secret room in this place called
that you can't take photos in.
You can't take photos in.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't?
Not in that room. In this room, you can.
Oh, dude. What's up? Okay, so I'm going to do something special here. Right sitting across from me is Michael Dahlke. And I first heard about this guy on Joshua Latimer interviewed him. They're like, this guy's does millions of dollars buying and selling businesses. And I watched the interview, and Michael Dahlke is just a normal dude. I met him at AGS Conquer when I met Bobby Walker a few years ago. It's this live event where people get breakthroughs in their businesses. And Michael Dahlke, I was a little nervous. I'm like, bro, you're that Michael Dahlke guy, that financial guru. You're so cool. And Michael looked at me and he's like, bro, Keith Kalfas, I watched your videos, man. I love that one video. And I was like, Michael Dahlke knows who I am, because being in the position of a guy that's, started his business and hasn't crossed the $1 million mark, we look to guys like that who have figured it out, and they have mentors of their own. I'm sure Michael has mentors of his own, but we look to people like that. Then I met Bobby Walker. Here's another guy, and he'll tell his story briefly. You can go to Journey of a New Entrepreneur podcast. But he was a guy who was in a corporate job and literally lost his job overnight when he started a window cleaning business, and now he plans on doing about $1 million this year. I don't know, in spite of the coronavirus thing, but you've built a multiple six-figure. It's set.
It's Bobby's not set. No, I don't have $1 million business. Probably won't this year. I was ahead of pace. Yeah. I thought I was going to crush it, and we're pretty far behind. It's unlikely, not impossible, that we'll hit $1 million, but I wouldn't bet money on it this year.
Okay, and the interesting thing about Bobby, he has this no bitch zone. Like literally this morning, I got in my hotel in Nashville because I live in Detroit. 3 o'clock in the morning, I didn't get any sleep. I was a little frustrated, and I texted a little excuse on Voxer to Bobby, like, hey, I'm going to be late because I didn't get any sleep. And he literally texted me back, you're a bitch. And I got angry. I'm like, fuck him. I'm not even like this little thing. And I'm like, no, I like that. I like that because I am being a bitch right now. And any type of excuse is being a bitch. So I'm going to do something special here since I only got 2 mics, and I want to turn it over. Bobby Walker, man, you're fucking awesome. And thank you so much for what you're doing. And you're helping a lot of guys out in the industry start and go through that entrepreneurial journey. And then we have Michael Dahlke here. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to Mike and Bobby, and then they're going to talk and conversate about what's going on at this private mastermind group called the Business, Bourbon, and Bullshit, and talk about some of the frameworks that you need to think through to get your business to the next level. And a lot of it revolves around just don't be a bitch, but there's also not just not being a bitch, because you could go work yourself to death and it might not get you anywhere. It's about having strategy. So Michael Dahlke, here you go.
While Keith gets the mic over on mic, I'll just share the 15-second version of my story. And Keith, thank you for having us on, man. And Keith, I don't know. I'm not getting audio in my ears, but that's fine with me. I just want to make sure that's not messing up. I want to make sure you're getting an input here from my audio. But oh wow, I can hear it now. Yeah. So actually, if you can turn me down that a little bit, that'd help. My 15-second story is this: I was sick of my corporate career. I was looking for a service business that I could start on the side and eventually make it my main gig. As a result, I was searching YouTube for ideas. I stumbled across a video that Keith did of saying, here's how you can start a window cleaning business with no money. He walks into Home Depot and says, buy these things. It was about $50. And then he walked out front and said, charge this much for these kind of windows. There you go. You just started a window cleaning company for no money. About 3 hours later, I found out I was losing my job. I got a phone call telling me that I was losing my job. So I literally, the next morning, I drove to Home Depot with my son. We pulled that video up on my phone and we bought 2 of everything because my son, who was a senior in high school, wanted to do this with his dad. And, in year number 1, we did about 100. I can't remember if it was 120, 130 in revenue. Year number 2, we did like 300 and I think I'm rounding up to 350. And then at the end of year 3, we had done a total of $1 million in our first 3 years, window cleaning and pressure washing. And as Keith said, I had a goal of $1 million this year, which is year number 4. We came out of the gates just rocking and rolling. And then honestly, Corona's impacted us quite a bit. We had to scale back a little bit with employees. But I think we're kind of back on trending up. And as I'm saying all this, I'm looking at Mike next to me here, who hasn't said a word yet. But Mike, I have found him again through Josh Latimer, and Mike has become a business partner of mine. He's invested in my business and he's helping guide me. I think I kind of hit the ceiling of my natural talent, or Keith said, you can only use the don't be a bitch thing so much. Effort only gets you so far. And I brought Mike in to help with some strategy and thinking that we can build something really big and beautiful here. And so that's who I am. I said 15 seconds. That was 2 minutes, which is still probably really good for me. But yeah, you got Mike Dahlke here. So what's up, Mike?
First of all, thanks, Keith, for having me and allowing me to add value and be useful. It's been really, really cool to see it and spend time with you and get to know you. Bobby, you say that, and I think the part that most people don't know, and I'd love for you to share, is the part where and we can talk about business, bourbon, and bullshit, but the part that you were not growing anymore, you kind of got in a lull, and you had a phone call with a very special mentor who didn't say, don't be a bitch, no bitch zone, but he said something very similar. Mm-hmm. And then you want to tell that story real quick? I think it's really good.
Okay, so if we're playing the Josh Latimer drinking game, I think it's time for everyone to take their 3rd or 4th shot probably at this point. But so if you're listening to Keith's podcast, you probably know who Josh is, because I know Keith talks to him a lot, or talks about him a lot. And Josh is someone I had found. I was listening to his podcast and I'd reached out to him, and Josh had been kind of mentoring me a little bit, giving me a tip here and there as much as he could. And I did. I came out of the gates doing really good at the very beginning of our business, the first 2 or 3 months. And then, month 4 or so, we just hit a wall. And we did virtually no revenue. I think we did $2,800 in revenue in the month of June of my first year, which I used to have a salary and bonus structure. I was making close to $150 a year. So $2,800, even if there's no expenses, isn't cutting it for me, And so I'm stressed. I'm scared. I'm panicking. I send Josh a message and he's like, give me your phone number. I'm just going to call you real quick. Get on the phone. And I already told you the position I was in. So instead of telling you the whole story, here's basically what Josh said is, now, my words, not his, but it's what I heard, even though it's not the words he said. Listen, bitch, if you're not cleaning something, you need to be handing out flyers. If you're not handing out flyers, it can only be because you're cleaning something. And if you're doing anything else, you're kidding yourself and you're lying to yourself that you're trying to grow your business. Those are the only 2 things that matter right now. He gave me a little strategy behind it, but he basically said, if you're not doing flyers or door knocking when you're not cleaning, never call me again. And I didn't even need him to say the last part because I was desperate. And I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And that's what we did. And then our company we never looked back. We went from $2,800 to, I think 3 months later, we were doing $30,000 in revenue, and we've continued to climb. So,
yeah. Did he say something along the lines of, don't come home at the end of the day? Like, don't come home at 1. Like, you still have to work like a full day.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he did. I was trying.
You were paraphrasing.
I talk a lot, Mike. I was trying to keep it short, but I think I got the gist. But yeah, and I think maybe the point you're trying to get is there's 2 things. It's hard work, but then as Keith said, it's the strategy too, and we've got to be, it's not just working hard, but working hard on the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I hear that story and when I think about the people who are just getting started, I think about the hundreds of thousands of flyers that nobody knows that we put out.
Yep.
Growing our business from 60,000 to over 3 million. There is a certain amount of rugged individualism that you need when you get started.
Yeah.
That you just gotta work. There's no other option other than just do the work. And part of what business bourbon and bullshit is that after you've hit a certain level of just working and putting out those flyers and doing all those things, you get in the habit of being a rugged individualist and going out there and just putting out flyers and doing the thing. And you hit that second wall and you go, well, why am I stuck now? And that's where we have this event where really it's about getting out of some of those individualist habits, working on the business, but also working on your own mentality. Yeah. So when you think about what we did today, what's some of the key takeaways that you've got?
Well, for me, now I've been to BBB I've been coming for multiple events. This is probably my fifth or sixth one that I've been to. So not just a snapshot of today, but just the general idea and the best takeaway that I get from it, aside from the networking, because just being a part of a group of great guys there's a value in that, is the strategy of not planning for 3 years down the road or planning for, I'm not saying setting goals. There's a difference between setting a goal and planning. Okay. We have a 3-year goal, we have a 10-year goal or whatever, but planning for a quarter at a time. We start the year, we say, here's what I want the end of the year to look like. And then the very first BBB is all about what do we got to do in quarter one to be prepared for quarter two, to be prepared for quarter three, so on and so forth to hit that goal. And that's made a huge difference for me because I wasn't doing that before I got involved with you and met you. And I think there's just psychology behind it to the fact that we just as humans have a hard time looking a year from, we can look at it, but I think we get fatigued. We get fatigued trying to work that plan. So if I can just get 3 months into my plan, it's good. And that's what I love about this event is it helps me do that. It helps me identify the things I need to fix and then a short time to do it.
Yeah. Michael Kaplan, who and is a partner of ours, he always says, I don't know what color the sky is going to be a year from now. Like I don't, how can I think that far ahead? Yeah, I have to have the goals, but as far as when I can move my feet and take action and make real progress, after 90 days, I can't tell you if there's going to be a coronavirus or if someone's going to fly planes into the Twin Towers. Yeah. So I'm going to come up with my 90-day plan and I'm going to work my tail off on 90 days. And then I'm going to wake up and go, wow, I got further than I ever thought I would. Let's do it again. And let's push a little bit harder. Yeah. Yeah. Mike, you know what? You're a pretty cool guy when we're recording stuff. Normally you're not this cool. I don't know. I kind of typically refer to me as Rain Man, which means I have no social skills whatsoever. So I appreciate that, Bobby. Yeah. No. So for everyone listening, Mike and I have become really good friends. We became buddies and then became business partners and we become good friends. And we're definitely different personality types, but I think that's kind of what makes a great marriage, is I've got some of the stuff you lack, and you got a lot of the stuff I lack, but I love busting your balls. So yeah, appreciate that. So when you think about, for the people that are listening to Keith's podcast here, when you think about the $10,000 idea, so one of the concepts that we bring to the mastermind is that everyone who comes has to be a giver, not a taker. Yeah. You have to generously give. And at a typical event, and this is not a knock on large events, on a typical event, you have a lot of people and one speaker, and that one speaker gives, and then a lot of people take that information. Here, everyone has to give. Everyone has to give a $10,000 idea. It's tried and true, and you said if you implement it, you will make $10,000 in your business. So when you think about the last, 2 years, 3 years of coming, if you think about the $10,000 ideas that you've implemented, what's one or two that's be useful to someone who's listening to the podcast?
Hands down, the number one for me was doing a reoccurring revenue model with some window cleaning. Our business is mostly pressure washing at this point, but last year was my first year coming, and it was January of 2019 that I came, and someone shared that idea. They basically just shared a strategy that they use to get people on quarterly window cleaning accounts, which I was not having success at all with, and I implemented it, and truth be told, I didn't execute the best. I did execute on it, but not as good as I could have. But when I hit January 1 of 2020, I can't remember the exact number, but I think we had like $55,000 of revenue on the books that were just from those quarterly window cleaning accounts that I sold God knows how long ago and didn't have to do any other work for other than just go out and clean them. So that was just something that I showed up. There was, one of the attendees had it. He had a little paper with him that said, like, here's how I do it. I took it home, made a little modification for my business, and boom, we were off and running.
And how much are you doing in quarterly recurring service right now on an annual basis?
I don't know the answer to that right now, Mike.
But it's enough. It's more than 10,000.
It's way more than 10,000. Yeah. I'm embarrassed to tell you I'm changing CRM, so it's easier for me to keep track of. That's my excuse. That's my bitch excuse.
Fair enough. There's been so many good $10,000 ideas when you think about 30 people coming and sharing.
You can't implement them all,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they don't all apply.
But the one that's my favorite, and we've implemented it, but we probably haven't done as good a job as we could have. We've implemented a lot of them. Is one of the guys from New Jersey. He had said, when you're up and cleaning a roof and you've got that pipe that comes out and there's that little rubber thing that goes around the pipe and it gets wore out. Mm-hmm. Take this new rubber thing that costs like $10 and put it over the top and caulk it down. Yeah. And charge $75 or
I think he charges $200.
It's like $150 to put this $7 ring over the pipe and do it. And I said people were doing it all the time. Like no one wants to get up on the roof and there's fear and there's this. And his upsells were through the roof. Mm-hmm. And that same guy today talked about how he was training his technicians to do upsells. Yeah. And from just a practical standpoint, even if it's you as the only technician, when you're out there and you've got a $600 job today and that's all you got on the schedule and you can get another $200, holy cow.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Over the course of the year, that's an extra $50,000.
Yeah. And that's why I love this event. I participate in a lot of events. And when I say a lot, if you take BBB out, I probably participate in like 3 others during the year. So I participate in what I think is a lot of events. But the big difference here, and I want to be real clear. The ones I participate in, I do it because they're great events. Yeah. But what I like about this one is because you got people that are bringing the ideas and they have to be a giver in it, you have a different like quality or standard of person that's here. And then naturally that makes the receiving part that much better because we have a room. Instead of having that one guy that's giving, we literally have 31 guys that are doing it, so it's good stuff. Let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question for this audience, unless you want to go further on this particular topic.
Go for it.
What do you see, because you talk to a lot of business owners and people that are struggling and help people turn their businesses around. Let's say someone's not the new guy. Because everyone kind of knows the strategy to win when you're starting grassroots. You bust your ass, you get in front of a lot of people every day. Even if you're bad at sales, you'll have some success, if you're working hard enough and you can get better in the strategy. But let's say if we're talking about, because I don't know lawn care as well, but the window cleaning kind of thing, like a company gets to that $300,000-$400,000 range annually, they tend to hit a ceiling there. What's the problem? Because you were talking about it, like that's where BBB is kind of the solution. What do guys need to be looking at that they're doing wrong when they start hitting that ceiling?
So, a lot of things could be doing wrong at that spot, but the 2 mindsets that we talk about a lot at BBB, it's one of the things that we talk about every single time. The 2 mindsets are, the first is always have courage. Instead of thinking about where you're at today, have courage to do the next thing. I've been very fortunate to I've gotten connected to the strategic coach and listened to a lot of their podcasts, and they say courage over comfort. And the other one that they talk, so first of all, courage over comfort. Mm-hmm. So the guy that's there, he's kind of in cash flow purgatory. So he can't get to the next level.
What do you mean by that, just in case someone doesn't understand?
Yeah, so someone's out there, and when you're the guy doing the work in the field, you're making money because you're doing the labor in the field. And then you hire somebody, and you're marketing, and you're doing these things, and all of a sudden you're not in the field anymore. So you lose the cash flow to yourself personally that you were making as the lead technician. And now you're in the office, and you maybe have an office person, and you have some overhead, and you want to take $50,000 home to your family, and you're not doing the work. Yeah. So you're taking all of the profits. Well, now you have to reinvest back in your business, and you're like, where am I going to get that money? Yep. So you're in cash flow purgatory. You don't have enough to invest, but you also need to be able to pay your family and do those things.
I've been there for about a year.
Yeah, it's really my business. Yeah, it's really a special place that you want to get out of as fast as you freaking can.
I wouldn't call it special.
Yeah. So, and it happens at various different levels. And I don't know lawn care as much as I know window cleaning, but there's a couple of levels where you hit it, and we hit it at Blue Skies. Even when we were in the $1 million range, when we were adding leaders to the program, it was the same thing. So having the courage to either make the financial investment or make the investment of time to go at it really hard again. Mm-hmm. Because you've gotten to 400,000, you don't have to get on the ladder anymore. Maybe you're off the truck and you're going, that's really good. But to get to the next level, you still got to give something up and have the courage to do it. The second one that we talk about that's also stolen from the strategic coach is borrowed. I don't know if I should say stolen. Yeah. But is to think who, not how. And that concept changed my life in my business, because whenever I had a goal, I'm watching Dan Sullivan talk about this, and he'd say, all right, your goal is to get to $3 million. The first thought you have as an entrepreneur is, how do I do that? Or you say, hey, I need to get into lawn care. How do I do that? That's the first thought, naturally.
Yeah.
And where he blew my mind was when he said, you need to think, who can help me do that? And I need to focus on what I'm the best at and what I'm uniquely gifted at. I think I'm going in this fastball. I'm going to throw this fastball all the time. I'm not also the home run hitter. So I need to get somebody on the team that I can collaborate with, that I can think about that. So when you're in that and you're looking to get off, and you got to have some risk tolerance to either make the financial investment or whatnot, but you also got to start thinking about the team and who can answer the phone for me, who can buy, or who do I need to lead the team? Who do I need to do these things? And you start needing to free up your time by finding the right person and the right people to be on the team.
I don't know if we need to go deep on this, but just as we're talking about, the who, the people I talk to tend to have one of two issues when it comes to finding the who. One of them is, I can do it better myself. And then I think the other one is just fear. Like, what if I can't provide for that person? Is that the typical, what you see with people that struggle with adding people at that point?
I do.
Yeah.
What about for you? What would be the one for you?
For me, my personal issue was because I couldn't wait to get other people to do it. I was terrified that I was going to bring someone on and then not be able to provide for them and ruin their lives. That was kind of my fear, which, looking back at it now, and I don't have a ton of employees today, but that's kind of comical today to look back on, but that was a real fear for me, at the time.
Yeah. Josh Latimer drinking game. So take your fifth shot. But one of the things that he said at the AGS X event, or AGS Live, that Keith was at, that we were all sitting down and talking about, is he said, for a tree to go up, the seed first has to go down. And when he said that, I mean, he's a brilliant presenter. Like, I wish I had his YouTube. I YouTubed it and I lost it, or videoed it. But he was talking about, if you want to grow and you want to expand, your bank account has to go down before it goes back up. And the concept of investing is the same way. If you put money into an investment, your bank account went down, but you're hoping it goes back up. And so for me, the fear was always that I wasn't going to get the money back.
Yeah. That
I was going to lose the money, and I had to come to my wife and say, we invested $20,000 into this thing and we lost it all. And, I was always so afraid to lose the money. And as the money became less important and focus more on the people and the things like that, it was a lot easier to make those investments like we've made in you and not worry about it. It goes down. Some of them are going to go up, some of them aren't. But that is
hopefully
that
mine
concept.
goes up.
I hope so at some point here, right? No, but that would be for me, the fear of not providing, but also the fear of just the loss. Was really hard for me.
What do you? So I'll say this: the solution to the two issues we were just talking about, which are similar. Mine's fear of losing a person. Yours is fear of losing cash. But it was. And I think the solution is, you just get over it and do it. You just got to do it and accept that's how the world works, and sometimes you fail. What do you say to the people that say no one can do it as good as me? Well,
first, to your first point about just do it, that's a pretty standard no bitch zone type of comment. Yeah. So way to be consistent.
Thank you. And you disagree.
to the person who says nobody can do it as good as me, I say, you're absolutely right. I'm guarantee you're right on some things. There is some things that you can do that's better than anybody else, but that doesn't mean you should do it.
I disagree with you so much.
Okay, well, here, tell me what you think.
Mine is, I'm like, who do you think you are? You think that you're the world's best mower?
Yeah.
No, you're not. There's other people out there that are better than you, and they'll do it for less. So go hire that son of a bitch.
Man, no, I'm the world's best mower. Didn't you know this?
You've got a valid point. I think we both have valid points, but I get what you're saying is, you are, maybe you are the best one, but just because you are doesn't mean that you should be the one doing it.
Yeah. Well, here's an example, and we've talked about this in BB, and I'll go two ways with it, but I am the world's best mower. I haven't mowed my lawn in 2 years. Yeah. Right? My lawn is immaculate and it looks beautiful, and Carlos is freaking phenomenal. And he tells me what I need to do, and we have an understanding. It takes me about 11 seconds to mow my lawn, and I write the check and I give it to Carlos, and he does everything.
Yeah.
He's the who to how do I get my lawn to look beautiful. Yeah. So I feel like I am the world's best lawnmower. Now, we talked about this in one of the BBBs, and I don't mean to sound arrogant when I say this or like it pompous, but last year at the BBB in January, I was redoing a bathroom, and I had the rugged individualist Like I grew up from nothing. Like my dad, worked road construction. My mom babysat for extra money. We always had to cut firewood and sell it for extra money. We were not silver spoon type people, right? So everything that was done around the house, we did ourselves. If the roof was bad, we roofed. If the plumbing was bad, we were plumbers. So we just naturally had to do that. So when it came time to redo the bathroom in the basement at the house, of course I'm going to do it. And I used the full focus planner, which is one of the things from the event. And at the end of first quarter, I looked at how much time I spent doing the bathroom, working on the bathroom. And I'm so embarrassed to say I actually spent more time on that than I did working on my business.
Yeah. Because
every day I would come home and I had to YouTube videos of like how to tile the floor or how to use this flex piping and like and I'd have to watch like 6 of them because I didn't know if I was doing it right. Yeah. And so I'm spending all this time. And it's like 3 months later and I'm looking at it and going, oh my God, I'm like not even halfway. And I've wasted my life on this project. And it was all because I wanted to save a little bit of money. Yeah. And actually some guy was doing the neighbors and he came over and he's like, and I was like, just give me a quote on doing this. Like I'm done. And he was telling me how he listens to Keith Kalfas.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm not joking. I'm like 100% dead serious. And I was like, I know Keith. I like pulled up my little account. I was like, here, see, he sent me a message the other day. Like it was so cool. I felt like
that is cool.
I felt like I was such a big deal. All that to say, what we did was we said, man, I really shouldn't be focused on doing these home projects. The things that I can do without thinking, I'm going to do. But if I need to learn something new to reseal my driveway or to do the bathroom, we're just going to hire it out. Yeah. So we found somebody in our local community who needed some extra money. He had some child support issues, who was also a handyman. And I made a deal with him that I would pay him X dollars a month and he would come and there would be a list on the board, on a whiteboard, and he would come and he would pick off as many as he could for $25 an hour on all of the things on the list. So my wife wants the deck railings redone. Here it's on there. We need this done. It's on there. So he won because I was a hero to him because I gave him some money that he desperately needed at that time. He was a hero to me because I'm no longer spending time thinking about how to tile my bathroom. I can spend something more valuable. How do I invest in Bobby Walker and how do I help him grow his business? So that change in mindset from I got to do it because that's who I am. That's what my dad taught me. I got to do this. This is ingrained in who I am. I'm a blue collar kid from Wisconsin, farm town, likes country music and like has no like silver spoon. I can't hire someone to do this. And now it's like, man, what? If I could have broke through that mentality so long ago, my life would be completely different.
I couldn't agree more. And this next thing I'm going to say is going to be should be a whole different podcast. And I know we don't have a lot of time left on this one, but for the guys that are like, well, I do it the best, something that you've got to understand. And I'm positive Keith has some content out there with this topic. I just couldn't tell you where to find it. So maybe Keith can tell you here at the end, but the technician that's running the business, the technician that's running it thinks that quality needs to be a 10 out of a 10. And that's why he feels that he's the one that needs to do it. And the fact is the customer is probably like ecstatic and thrilled with a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. And you can hire people that can do the 8 out of 10. And the customer doesn't even know the difference. They're just as happy with that 8 as they are with the 10. You gave them the value that they wanted. They gave you the value that you wanted, which was the money. And there was a fair exchange there. And I think that sometimes it's not just arrogance that someone doesn't want to bring on the other person, but they're scared that if they bring someone on, they're not going to be able to get there. Now, there's a lot to it. You got to train the person. You got to delegate properly. You've got to empower them. You got to check up on them and inspect what you expect and blah, blah, blah. But the very first step is hire that person, show them how you want it done, and then watch them do it. And be okay with that 8 out of 10 when you're a 10 out of 10. And when you don't think for a second that no one's going to be able to do it as good as you. You just got to look around any big city you live near. And every large building is full of people that don't own the company. They're full of people that don't do it as good as the owner would do it. It's just full of people that do it good enough to get the desired result.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And, we're talking a lot about technician mindsets. And one of the things that we always talked about was we didn't want to be really good at cleaning windows. Yeah. What the people on my team needed me to be is be really good at business. Yep. And if I was really bad at business, they weren't going to have jobs. If I was good at business, they could do great. They needed to learn to be good at window cleaning or home cleaning or soft washing or whatever, insert home service here. And so we took a different approach right away and said, if we're ever going to get off the truck, and I was on the truck and answering the phone on the ladder and did all those things, we got to be good at business. And I had to focus on learning business, not windows. And then when we got people underneath us, we had to say, okay, you got to get really good at windows. And it's not that hard. You can watch 1 million podcasts and do this thing. But being the window whisperer doesn't help you as much as being really good at business and having 7 window whisperers underneath you.
The only thing that helps you with is if your goal is to work till you die and to be the guy on the ladder every day of your life. If that's your goal, be the window whisperer.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's not a damn thing wrong with it. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that a lot of people make the mistake of saying, I want to have a $10 million business when what they really want is a $700,000 business with a great lifestyle. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that either. So understanding what the end goal is important, I think, as well. And if you'd like to, work 6 months out of the year and take the winters off and you're in Minnesota, it's a great life.
Yep.
If you've got employees and overhead to think about, it makes it a lot tougher. So that's just some thoughts.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Bobby, what else, when you think about kind of wrapping up here, if you were to sum up maybe the one key framework or concept that we went through today that's been impactful to your business, that would be impactful to some of Keith's listeners, what would that be?
You're putting me on the spot.
So impactful.
Yeah. Well, no, there's a lot, and I'm not going to lie, my brain's fried, but I think one of the very first things we do at every event, is we establish, I should say the first 2 things we do. The first one is establish, what do I need to stop doing? I no longer need to do this for the health of my business. This is not good for us. And then the second one is, what do I need to delegate? So stop doing doesn't mean you're the only one. It just means like we don't do it anymore. Yeah. And then the second one is, what do you need to delegate to someone? Your company still needs to do it, but you don't. So the example that, if we stick with the analogy we've been using, is I'm going to delegate window cleaning to a technician so I can focus on the marketing and the sales and scale the business. And I would say those 2 things is the very first step, our very first 2 steps, but that may be the greatest single thing out of this whole that we do.
Yeah. And I would echo that. Doing this for 3 years or now, how long we've been doing this, and going through and thinking about the things I was doing and that I've eliminated. And the concept for the people who are listening is that if you're out there working your butt off right now and you've got a full cup, your glass is completely full, and you go to a convention or you read this book or you listen to this podcast and your glass is full and you go to put stuff in there, it's just not going to fit. It's just going to go right over the top and it's going to overflow. But if you can dump a little bit out, then you can put some more in. So the concept is that if we can eliminate some stuff that we're doing from our business or our lives, we can delegate some of those stuff. It'll free up some time so that we can input the new things that we want to try, the new idea, the getting off the truck, the doing the marketing plan, the systematizing the business, all that sort of stuff. But if we don't dump out that cup a little, there's no room in our lives to do anything different.
Well, and one real brief example for us, so my company, we do pressure washing and window cleaning. One of the things we're stopping doing is interior window cleaning. So I'm cutting out 3% of my company's revenue. But the reason I'm doing it is so I can raise our technicians' efficiency on the day and actually get more revenue done each day and ultimately make more money. So we're cutting out a little bit of revenue that we're getting, but it's going to free us up to do more of that good stuff that allows our technicians to make that higher hourly rate.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So wrapping up, final words of wisdom from the day to Keith's listeners.
Okay. I'm going to have to go back to the wheelhouse for me. And I want to just explain what not being a bitch is and what the no bitch zone is about. A bitch is not someone that whines. Because I'm not a bitch, and I whine sometimes. A bitch is not someone that gets kicked and feels down, and because we all do. When I say bitch, the definition of the bitch in the no bitch zone is someone that doesn't pursue their goals because of what other people may say, think, or do, including themselves, or someone that blames other people for their failures or lack of success. So I think that one of the biggest keys to personal growth and development is being honest when you look in the mirror. And if you're fat, don't say, I'm not fat, I'm big boned. Say, no, I'm fat. And then I can actually come up with a good strategy to do it. So don't be a bitch. Don't blame others for your failures. Don't let others discourage you or your own fear discourage you from pursuing it. Don't be a bitch. pursue your dreams. And what I say every time I sign off of a podcast is if you're not doing the things you want in life, you better have a damn good reason for it. But if you're not pursuing those things, there's no good reason for it. And I think that's great advice, if I say so myself.
That's awesome.
What about you?
Last words of wisdom?
Yeah.
Listen to Bobby Walker and Keith Kalfas. I think that's where I would go. You know, my words of wisdom from the guy who started and, you know, the first at $60,000 a year in revenue on the truck, answering the phone while on the ladder, scheduling the job on note cards, and all of the terrible things that, you know, Josh Latimer, drink number 6, would tell me I was doing wrong, was that at a certain level, if in the beginning, if it's gonna be, it's up to me type of deal. Yeah. You've got to bust it. And there's no substitute for the hard work and the rugged individualist that goes out there and flyers from dusk to dawn and does that to get ahead. Like there is something to be said of that. After you've gotten an established business, and I don't mean a $5 million business, but I mean, you've got some revenue coming in, you're paying your bills, you're doing the stuff. After that, my words of wisdom would be to start thinking about systematizing the business and thinking about how to recruit and get really good at business.
Good stuff.
So get good at business. Don't be just good at lawn care or window cleaning, that sort of thing. The people who are going to win, if their goal is to grow, is to get good at business.
I think we have like 4 tangents that we've just kind of mentioned that would be great standalone episodes. And one of them there is like, don't try to over systemize on day one, you know, get the revenue coming, pay the bills, and then start doing all that stuff. That's good stuff.
Absolutely. All right.
So Keith's getting the mic back here. So Dahlke, love you, bro. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to go down there and ride a mechanical bull with you here in a minute. So for those of you that didn't catch that, we're in this cool building. It's like 200 years old, 3 stories tall with a basement. It was like a speakeasy back in the Prohibition days. And we got a mechanical bull downstairs. We're about to go tear it up.
Mechanical bull.
Did you not know this?
Oh, that's why they made us sign the contracts in case we get injured. This place is beautiful.
Keith,
Nashville, Tennessee. I'm happy to be here.
I love you, bro. And I appreciate you letting me be a part of this. This is so like poetic for me. You know, every time we get together and get to talk, and this is the second time I think I've been on your show, and it's like, this is where I started. You know, this guy that I'm looking across this presidential desk right now is the guy that got me started in this life, in this world that honestly, I couldn't be happier. In the midst of 2020 with all the terrible stuff that's happening, not just in our country, but in our world, it's like, this is the best year of my life because I'm kind of choosing to let it be. And you were a little bit of the catalyst of that. You were the catalyst on that. And I appreciate it, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm following my calling and I love doing it, man. So guys, that's it for this episode. You can find this on any of your favorite podcast platforms. If you enjoyed the show, this will do wonders for the show. Like I said, we're top 100 in the entrepreneur category. We hit number 37 in the nation in the entrepreneur category. If you go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, and please leave us a well-worded, positive 5-star review, and then hit me up my website, keithkalfas.com. How can people find you, Bobby?
Just search Journey of a New Entrepreneur, and you'll find me.
Yeah, type that in on YouTube or on your podcast. Or
Google. Yeah, just go to Google and type Journey of a New Entrepreneur and you'll find me. Yeah.
Interesting. And check out his podcast as well. And then Michael Dahlke, no. He's not. He's busy making lots of money.
Yeah, he's busy doing stuff.
All right, guys. Later.